double standards, and a lot of times men or just society looks at it as, okay, it's okay for men to have multiple partners, but then when it comes to women, it's kind of looked down upon, and just thinking that you're extra promiscuous, and then you might not be marriage material or whatever. So, kind of talk when you hear things like that, or even if it's whether it's from a religious perspective or just overall, how do you what do you say to people when they speak about, okay, well, as a woman, are you really being the right type of woman by having that type of open relationship?
Well, first, I try to remind them that all of the cultural values we got were from Victorian, sex negative, European based systems. And so, if we're using those systems to analyze my behavior, that's the first problem. I
Okay.
don't need to utilize Christianity or some, systems that are not my own to analyze myself.
Okay.
What I have done is realize that I create my life. I can
Hmm.
create whatever system I want and fit into it. I don't understand why people would hold those measuring sticks of people, who are enslavers or, just they don't have a positive culture. So
Hmm.
why are we using those standards? They're not mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely believe, and I guess the backstory. I'm single. I'm not married. Obviously, Elam is
Married.
married, and you've been married for
14 years.
14 years. Let's emphasize the teen on that.
Right.
14 years, and I just believe that relationships are what you make it.
Yep.
I mean, I definitely don't believe in judging other people's marriages, other people's relationships, other people's friendships. I believe that what my relationship is with the person I choose to be with, that's what it is in the confines of what we have discussed and what we've figured out what works best for us. What works best for me might not work best for you, and the same with you, Kenya. I definitely don't believe that it's fair that we have this stigma that it has to be a certain way.
And let me throw in here,
Right.
Kenya. Maybe you might have the stats on this, but from what I've heard, if you look at the relationships that do have a polyamorous a culture versus just the monogamy, the relationships that actually are lasting longer are the ones that are not monogamous. That
Hmm.
everybody knows what everybody's doing, and those marriages are actually lasting a lot longer than just
Absolutely.
do you have? Can you talk towards that?
Sure, the stats on modern relationships is that 55% of marriages fail. Now, I don't know
Mm.
about you, but I like to fly on airplanes. But if they told me that 55% of the time I would crash, I would not be an avid airplane rider.
Right.
Right, right.
Those who are Christian or born again Christian, marriages last 65% have 65% divorce rate. African Americans have a 70% divorce rate.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we have an issue here. We don't have a relationship style that works. That's why we're trying to introduce polyamory as a relationship style that might work better. Cheating, quote unquote, this is just a human desire. It's not something that negative people do or bad people do. We all want to create community by having lots of support around us, whether
Mhm.
that's sensual support, emotional support. You understand? We want that. So I don't see what the problem really is.
So
Mhm.
We don't have stats yet on open relationships because
okay.
that's not been studied broadly enough.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the part that you just talked about, the cheating aspect of it,
Mhm.
right? Are you saying, based upon what you were just speaking of, is that are you giving a pass to people that cheat because you're saying that it's natural because we're restricted inside of a monogamous relationship? Or
Yes,
what were you? Oh, okay, go ahead. Because
Mhm.
yes, I
and the
am.
reason why that I think
Yes, I
that's
am.
interesting is because when you look at men versus women, right? There's women when it comes to somebody stepping outside the relationship on them. That's a hot topic, and women can sit and talk forever about that. But here
Mhm.
you are as a
Right.
woman saying, okay, well, it's actually okay, and well, it's not okay, but here's the reason why that people are cheating. Talk about, I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Well, there are, first of all, 35 million users on Ashley Madison, and they are women and men. And Ashley Madison is actually mostly women. So you
35
have women,
million on
Mm.
Ashley Madison.
35 million, and we only have 335 million in this country. So
That's
that's
serious
almost a third of
stats.
the. I know.
That's
So
Imagine that.
I spoke to Ashley Madison. I know him. He's a friend of mine.
uh-huh.
And what he says is that women are more avid users than men. So women are very desirous of different sexual needs, also having different emotional needs. One thing that I know for sure is that there are 4 reasons that women choose men. first, they choose a support choice. That means that this is a man who can be in the house, domestic, responsible, but there's not a lot of sexual polarity. There's not a lot of sexuality in those type of domestic relationships.
Take some
So
notes
a
real
woman
quick.
is looking for that warrior
Come on,
out in the
support.
forest. I call
Calm it
that.
down.
I call that the womb choice.
Ooh.
The womb choice is that man who just puts it down. You're looking for that guy, but he's not a man you would marry. Then there's a money choice, a man who's going to take care of you like a sugar daddy. Women want that. Then there's a crown choice, the man who has a lot of wisdom, who's going to help you with your business, help you get situated. So it's a lot of different needs that both men and women have, and I find that if I have a man in each of those choices, I'm happier than if I just have one man trying to make him do everything.
Because, I mean, if we're just being, honest, and I definitely think that we are here, the fact that I'm going to be able to find one person to fulfill every need is unfair.
Right, and unrealistic, and
And
it causes the demise of relationships.
So is it
because we think it's realistic and it's not?
So would you say that you have a man in each one of those categories? So you got the sugar daddy, you got the
I have
the
two
womb
sugar
choice.
daddies.
You
Come
got
on
I have
now.
two sugar
Come on.
two
daddies.
sugar daddies.
I have a womb choice. I have my husband is my support choice. He lives here with me and the kids. It's not highly sexual. Me and my husband are like best friends. Then I have my crown. I have two crown choices. So I have a lot of men doing a lot of things, and that adds to my wealth and abundance, my peace and happiness, my sexual satisfaction, and my desires are met. So therefore, I'm happier. I'm more holistic. I'm better with my kids. I'm not angry all the time. Black men are always complaining that their women are so angry. Well, let your women get happy. Let them get happy. And,
Okay.
Let
them a
your woman
gaggle.
get
So-
happy.
Let me go to a deep question here because no point intended, but let me go to a deep question here because one of the men say in the manual that women are not capable of having multiple sexual partners because of how your body is designed, and so but I think you probably would think a little bit differently because they're saying okay, men can have sex with somebody at 10 o'clock and then maybe turn around at 11 o'clock and maybe at 1 o'clock based upon how we're just able to only thing
How
we
you
have to
need
do
to
is
be
just
refilled?
release. Yeah, we just need a
just
couple of
Okay,
minutes.
yeah.
Release,
then
fill
how-
up, release,
Right.
fill up.
Right.
But for women,
Right,
you're
so-
receiving a different partner that your body's not really designed to do that. So talk about how let's
Yeah, so
Speak on
we
that.
done with that.
Right.
We're done with that. We're done with men telling us what we do with our bodies. First of all, we're your maker. We're the one who produced every human on this planet. So we're done with men telling women how women's bodies work. Men have never even studied in Western science how woman orgasm works. I can have an orgasm from my clitoris all the way up to my crown. I have 8 different places to have orgasm. Men have
Speak
never
on
studied
that.
it. They don't know it. So they don't know anything about how a woman's body works. I've had sex with 2, 3 men in the same day. I enjoy that very much. It energizes me, makes me into an artist, makes me more creative, makes me more happy. So we don't look to men anymore to tell us how our bodies work. Men don't even understand our cycles, how we have babies. They don't know anything about women's bodies.
Wow.
So I knew about 5 different types of orgasms, but I didn't know about 8 different types.
Eight different spots. You missing
8
3.
different spots. I'm missing 3.
I'm about to.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
just
mad.
I'm
Yeah,
just
she
talking
was
about
just
each of the chakras.
Yeah.
Each of the chakras.
There go that
So,
word again.
Yeah. So that's men haven't studied this. So men don't know anything about women's bodies.
Ooh.
So we're not going to
could
even
believe
talk
that.
about that.
I could totally believe that. And I actually, being super transparent, I actually was in a relationship and had this presented to me whether or not I would be open to an open relationship. Nothing ever panned out from it, but as I'm looking at your 4 choices, I now understand what choice he would have been for me had we continued to be in a relationship.
Which choice is it?
He would have been the support choice. He actually would have been more than one. He would have been more than
You
one.
know what?
But what he
Joy.
wouldn't have been was
Joy,
mean, yeah.
women usually discard their support choices. We friend zone our support choices when we should really marry them and ask them for an open relationship right away.
Yeah.
You want to live with somebody who's a support choice, but you know the sex isn't. It's not a sexual relationship.
It's
a
not.
relationship of. It's an emotional safety. We're going to be here for each other no matter what.
But
we ride or die.
On the guy side of the house, I just can't imagine being any one of those choices and me not being the sexual partner. And maybe that's
They
just
didn't
me.
say you weren't having sex. They just said that
When
the
you,
connection just wasn't
right.
Yeah,
a
even
ten
without
every
the
time.
connection need to be on 10. If
I
I'm
know,
any
but
one of those
she
choices,
Well,
might not
it
need to
only
tell
needs
you
to
what it's
be
gonna
on
be.
10. It only needs to be on 10 because you don't think you can go have real relationship outside of that. But see, if you could,
Mm.
the woman in your house is just support. She's emotional support. Hey, did you eat, baby? Let me iron your clothes. What's up? We
mm,
got these kids. But now you go out and you go to your other lady house who's your womb choice and you lay up all night. You make love. You come home and your wife is right there. Hey, sweetie, how was it? Okay, because she's going to
golly.
do
How
the
was
same
it?
thing.
So let me just
With
ask
the
you,
tiny
because
grin.
you've definitely opened up
Ooh,
something right here. Do you and your husband talk about the other men, and he talk about the other
absolutely.
women?
Mm,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yes. He asked me, "How are you and your womb choice?" Because he knows if I'm going through something with him, I'm gonna need some extra emotional
I know
support.
that's right,
I asked
girl.
him, "How is your womb choice?" Because if you go through stuff with your womb choice, the person you're primarily sexually attracted to, you're gonna go through the most stuff with them. I don't want to curse. You're gonna go
Yeah.
through the most shit with them
Yeah.
because they are the one who remind you of your daddy. They remind you of your
wow.
mama who treated you wrong.
Girl.
So you're gonna go through that. And then you come home to your support choice and get that cuddle and love and talk about it. These are how we can heal. This is
Mm.
how we can heal. It's a model that works. I'm
Mm.
living it, and
Mm.
all of my clients are living it.
Okay.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
do you ever have any types of retreats with your clients or whatever? Like everybody comes, and the only reason why
Let
I'm
me
asking is
know
because
when y'all
I've
doing
seen
that.
this on you know how HBO used to do like the real sex or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
do you ever have like any camps or any retreats or whatever where yourself? No, I'm serious. Where like
I know, but it
you
We
sounds
and the
do.
so
womb
funny coming
choice
from you.
and the crown choice or whatever, all the choices y'all all roll to a location and just get to know each other.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
mean with them? Oh, I
yes.
thought you meant with the clients that she's teaching.
No, like just
Oh,
everybody a
you
retreat.
mean her and her
With
posse.
all of my guys.
Yes.
Well, just last Friday, my womb choice met my support choice because I wanted my support choice to talk sense into him and help him understand. My womb choice is possessive. He don't want me to be with nobody else. So my
Yeah.
support choice helps him out. But we have a retreat every September with all of my clients in the community, and we come to the mountains and we get like a 28-bed house, and we really get together and talk and go through our stuff, and it's fun. We
Hey,
do it. We have a good time.
Listen, when did you say that was again?
yeah,
You said it was
yeah,
in
we get a
September, right?
28 bedroom place and everybody gets to know
Yes.
each other. That
Right,
is
right, right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know
Oh,
what though?
absolutely.
Let me say this. One of the thought processes is that a guy on average does not want to be in the room with another man that's had sex with his woman. Okay, and so maybe that might be a conservative approach. That's also something that we
That you
talk
talk
about and
about in the
understand a
book.
man.
Hmm.
So
Well, that's yeah.
and
That's
I'm gonna
part of
say I'm
Western
one of those
culture.
people. I
Right.
don't have to worry about running into that too often because my wife wasn't, whatever. So I mean, but most men say that like they don't even want to be in the room with another man. That
Let
Right.
it could have
alone
been high school. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
petty
But
in
And you could be 40
2018.
now. Yeah, call me petty.
Petty in
Elam,
But I'm like
2018.
that, and I will
Right.
go ahead and admit
you're
that.
not
So,
petty.
huh?
You're not petty. You're
Okay,
Okay.
not
I'm not
petty.
petty. All
You're
right.
not petty at all. This is what
That's
Western
society.
culture
Yeah.
makes us believe. Western culture makes us believe that we're in competition with other people. We
Hmm.
have this jealousy, this insecurity. People are killing each other over this, busting out car windows, slashing
I
tires,
bust your
scratching shit up,
window.
and we don't have a way out. What I'm saying is Juju Mama has offered a way out of that insecurity and that feeling of competition, and we train our members of how to get out of it. Would you rather have it or not have it? What if you could not feel any insecurity in front of another man who made love to your wife? Would you
Hmm.
want to not feel that insecurity?
Hmm. Yeah.
Would you want to if you could get out of it? Because
Right.
I used to be mad if my husband helped another woman with his groceries. I used to be mad if my husband looked at another woman, gave another woman a hug.
Yeah.
I would be pissed as hell and I would be stressed. And that I got rid of it. We
Hmm.
have the tools to help people get rid of that.
I gotta say, Kenya, we're a very clean show. I know we're talking dirty right now, but we gotta watch out on the cussing. But here we are, Michael and Joy, after the show with Elam B. King, author of Understanding the Man. I'm Joy Pearson, and we have Miss Kenya K. Stevens, aka Juju Mama, on Instagram. Um, I read a book a long time ago by Osho called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness. And one of the things that I remember reading in the book was the fact that I should be able to be so comfortable in my own skin that I don't care if my partner or my mate or my husband is talking to another woman, flirts with another woman, has a conversation. Like, I should be able to allow that to be able to happen, and vice versa. Why was that?
Yes,
I mean, you said that at one point you were getting mad, and now it's like you went the total opposite way. How did you go from being upset to him just having a conversation to now being able to be open to the fact that, because you said early on the show that he actually fell in love with someone else. So not
he
just a
did. He
sexual
did.
thing, but an actual love relationship. How did you go from one extreme to the other?
Well, that's why we have Juju Mama Love Academy. We have 700 courses on
Mm,
how to deal with insecurity, jealousy, all of the aspects that you would need. But for me personally, I use those tools.
mm,
Meditation, realizing that I am not my emotions, I am not my ego. I am God. I am my highest self. I am peace itself. I'm love, and I am lovable. And there will never be a lack of love. And when I was jealous, I wanted that. I wanted him to look
mm-hmm,
at me like that. I wanted him to treat me like that. And I realized, you know what? I can have anybody treat me like that. I can get that somewhere else. I
mm,
can go have what I need at any time. It's moving from a lack consciousness to an abundance consciousness. It's the same with
mm,
money. I never have to feel like I'm a lack money. I can know that I am good enough. I'm smart enough to always have money. It's the
mm.
same with love. I'm good enough, smart enough to always have what I need. I'm lovable. Those took time to get those
Well,
beliefs,
let me ask that
Lack
question
change those
because
to
beliefs.
abundance.
speaking of money, okay, would you say that you have to? Is it make it difficult because you have to find yourself distributing your money throughout, all of your lovers or what have
Well,
you,
she
or
got two
you know,
Yeah, I have enough money.
two
I
money
have I
choices.
have enough love. It's an abundance consciousness.
uh huh,
The more we've done this, the more money we've had because you just start to know that the universe is good.
mm,
It's not unsafe. It's not unhappy. It's always going to provide you with what you want. It's a whole philosophy, Elam.
yeah.
And so
Mm.
that's what we do.
That's and kind of talk about. I know that you had some reality shows or what have you. How did those work? What was the feedback on those? Because I know you had two different reality shows. You said.
Yeah, the
Yes, we've
feedback.
had two reality series. One is on YouTube now. It's called Let's Stray Together.
Mm.
And it
Ooh.
just shows us working with our clients and
Mm-hmm.
helping them to open their relationships where they have a hard time. Because it is hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
La
It's
la
Mm-hmm.
la
hard.
la.
But it's much worth it.
Christmas must
Our
just be.
reality series, yeah, it's just meant to teach the
Right.
process.
Okay.
Hmm.
I was gonna say, have you had a lot of? I mean, obviously there are inquisitive minds, which is the reason why I personally wanted to have, kind of delve into this conversation. Because again, I've watched quite a few YouTube. Do you know who Esther Perel is? Have you?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I'll send you. She's from Europe, and she talks about polyamory. She talks about just, being open and, more importantly, honest in your relationships with people.
Yes.
She mentions, and she says it is funny. She says every time she goes to weddings for Americans, she finds it hilarious how when we're saying our vows, we're literally sometimes lying to our partner when we say, I'll never hurt you, I'll be there for you, I'll dry every tear. But at the end of the day or whatever, you'll never always be able to be there for your partner.
Mhm.
And it
Right.
kind of goes into when you talk about the fact that you need more people, you need a village to be able to
Handle all those emotions
handle
and.
all those
Yes.
emotions, because not every one
Right.
person is going to be able to do that.
Mhm.
Right. I remember a time where I wanted my children to go out and skateboard and learn how to do outdoor stuff. My husband's
And he
not
was
really
like,
into
yeah,
that. So
not so much.
I got another support choice to come and support my children to learn to do certain things, help with homework. What is the problem? If a
Yeah.
man doesn't want to do something, I can sit there and try to force him and get my blood pressure up and get sick and get diabetes and get heart
Right.
disease and all that, or I can get another man in my community to come help me.
I
Right.
What's the
mean, it's like
problem?
either you gonna do it or somebody else
Somebody
gonna.
else is going to, I
And
mean,
but
that's how
that
that
makes
works.
people actually. It kind of makes some people step up because it's kind of like if I can't meet this, she's gonna actually go get somebody else to meet this area. You know, if I
Right.
can't meet these finances, she's gonna get somebody else to do that. If I can't get somebody to dry every tear,
Right.
I'm gonna get somebody
She
else
gonna
to
Right.
do
find
that.
somebody. Right, right, right.
My
Well,
husband was happy.
right.
We're in the idea of neediness because
Mhm.
all women are called needy, Joy. They
Yep,
call us
Girl,
needy,
that's
I
and
true.
we're
know.
not needy. We're just like every other human. We have
Right.
needs, and they can be fulfilled. They
And they should
can.
be.
We think, oh, let me be less needy. No, I'm
Mm.
gonna be more and more needy because I can
Mhm.
get more and more of my community to help me out. That's
Yeah.
it.
Lack consciousness as opposed to abundant
Let me ask you a
consciousness. I
question.
love it.
How does, because it's some things that women look at is that how their family looks at a certain culture or lifestyle that they have. So is your family accepting of what you've been doing, or did you get kind of, the stiff arm of no, you're shaming the family or whatever? How
Oh
does that
my
look?
gosh. African Americans don't even have family reunions anymore. The families are
Hello. Who
falling
cares
apart.
about the
These marriages have not worked. When I did this, I told my family, y'all need to get on board because
Ooh.
you guys can't even get together anymore because all of these
Right.
divorces and people fighting. Don't talk to me about these families. If
Mhm.
you want to open and do something different, you need to tell your family, educate your family, let your family know you have a better way. That's what I've done.
You
They
know,
I was
can't
gonna
talk
say
nothing about me.
that's a
okay,
very that's a very good point.
so a thought that I had in my mind is that, I'm just going to be very honest with you. Okay, let's just say I'm your husband, and one of your other choices, you're in the room with them, right? And I'm in the living room, and y'all upstairs in the bedroom. There's a mental thing that's going to do something
Well, hold
to
up.
me.
First off, let's ask: does it go down like that, or is it more like space?
Everybody's got their own place.
So it does. It does. For 2 years, my husband's girlfriend lived with us. So
Nice.
one of my big challenges was, yes, they were right in the next room, but I also have partners over all the time. I want them at my house. I want them
Yeah.
to know my husband, my children. So we just also utilize the tools to move past that. It's challenging, but it can be done because we've done it.
So,
I was gonna say, the
And
interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
whew, no, go ahead.
Well,
it's just way better than lying and hiding. Now, if your partner is really triggered by it, you don't want to do that. You want
Okay.
to ease people in slowly. We've been doing this 12 years, so
Yeah.
don't listen to me. 12 years
Don't
is a
just
long
jump
time.
out there, huh?
Yeah, just,
Well,
just
I mean, the interesting thing was, I co-parent
they strong.
my son with, his father. And I remember that there was a point in time where I knew that we weren't going to work as a couple. And I was totally fine with when he ended up getting a girlfriend and she was in my son's life. I mean, I just had to understand that she's just adding to his growth as a person and not taking anything away from me. But it was amazing how many women were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you just allowed another." I was like, I didn't allow another woman in our family. I allowed his father the opportunity to be happy.
That
And
is so beautiful, Joy. I love that you said that. Go ahead,
you know what?
Connie.
One thing that normally happens, even from a Christianity perspective, when we look in the Bible, a lot of men say, well, if you look at Solomon, right,
Mhm.
he had 700 women and concubines, right? And most of the men in there, they had, Abraham, Moses, all the big ones, Noah, they had multiple wives, and these were blessed men.
Mhm.
And then you have, and I don't have, a theology background or whatever, but then you have, as we transition into now, it's more like, okay, God wants it to be one man, one woman.
Mhm.
And so, but then if
Right.
you look in the Bible, the blessed men, they had multiple
They
wives.
were like,
So,
little
it's
contradiction.
you have people that are saying, okay, well, which one really is it? Is God okay with me being with multiple women as long as they know about each other and nobody's lying?
Mhm.
Is it okay if I can
Yeah.
afford? Because in the Muslim culture, I know because my brother is Muslim. As long as you can afford to have another wife,
Mhm.
you can do it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
still blessed.
Mhm.
You know.
Right, and all those models are based on women as property. We're trying to move away from women as
Yeah.
property because
Okay.
it's caused the sexual harassment scares. It's caused the rape culture that we live in. We live in a rape culture because the women's body is owned. It's a possession. It's a
Right.
property. If I can afford several wives, it's like I can afford several cows. That's not what human females are.
But
You understand? We are humans. We have our own choices, our own
Mhm.
desires. It's not about property or ownership.
well,
But I understand your example.
Well, it
Mhm.
almost sounds like, okay. So then, if women have multiple men, then it's just to satisfy the different categories. But then, if men have multiple women, it's more of we're looking at you as property. Because I don't think
Well,
is that
No,
fair?
men
no.
might have the categories too.
No,
Okay.
Right. The men have the categories as well.
Mm-hmm.
Men need a support choice. Men
Mm-hmm.
need a womb choice. If I womb choose you, and that means you're getting womb chosen. You're getting womb choice energy. You're getting a woman who just wants to, be sexual with you all the time. Your manhood gets to be, your testosterone gets to be risen up and everything. You get the benefits of each of the choices too.
Mm-hmm.
So in the relationships you're talking about, the women, 700 women with one man, please.
He was
That
a
is
blessed
not
man. He was a
acceptable.
very rich and blessed
She
man.
said that is
Just-
unacceptable.
No, and those women were starving to death, and they were pieces of property dying.
Yeah.
You understand? That's
Yeah, it's
not
definitely
acceptable.
Man, he
It's
might have had a couple of womb choices. He might have had
Yeah,
a
but
couple
what
of
did they
security
have? They didn't have nothing. They
What do they
didn't have
have?
But that
anything
man
but
had
him. And they talked about it. I mean, I've watched the movie Kama Sutra, and he had many women, but the other women couldn't have other men. And the one woman that he was totally in love with and was his womb choice, when he found out that she had another man, he couldn't take it. I mean, he could not believe that
Right.
she was, with someone else. And
And women have a
he
higher
killed him, but
sexual. Women have a higher sexual appetite and a higher sexual stamina anyway. So what are we talking about? One man with many women. One man, you understand, he cannot keep up sexually with one woman when she's in her sexual prime. So I don't know what we're really talking about here. I've never met a man who can keep up sexually with just me, and I'm on my demand all the time.
Ooh.
He just says, I need a break.
she said,
You understand? And you've been in that situation, Joy.
Yeah.
We're not playing these
She
games.
just threw you in there.
Hey, slow down,
Yeah.
Kenya, slow down.
That is
I mean,
We've been there. We've been there. We've been there with that one man. We finally get him home married. Now he doesn't want to have sex all the time. He's slowing down. We've been there. So we're done with that.
Little Viagra.
The interesting thing was, in Elam's book, he talks about women women neglecting men, and honestly, I felt neglected.
Oh,
There were plenty of times,
Right.
and Kenya's talking about it or whatever, and Esther actually says it as well too. She says that, women, we are sexual beings, and we technically, our decline is different than a husband's decline. Our decline is
Right.
like straight up as far as the physical, and then it immediately kind of like declines with your partner, as opposed to the man's is kind of like, a little more gradual.
Right. A man can have the same kind of sex with one woman for a long time. The woman is more craving variety. And when she goes out and get it, she can come back and have that same monotonous sex and be happy. But if she can't do that, then it's going to be a problem.
Wow.
So men get their position, they get that one position, they get that one space, they like that space, they can do that every day. Women need a creative variety and to
Wow.
be escalated.
You want to say something? You want to say something, Attorney Greg? You got real quick.
So what you're saying is, hold on. So what you're saying is that women actually desire more variety in sex than men. That's what you're saying. So because of that,
Yes.
Try it, Elam.
oh, I'm good.
More
No.
creativity. Yeah, we like more creativity, variety. A woman.
So when you say
no.
so let's talk about that. School them real quick. When you say more creativity, okay, what are you
Gotta
talking
start with more
about?
than that good morning text.
Like, for instance, what I'm talking about is women like intensity. We want a man to be intensely into us. As soon as we get married, you understand that intensity goes down. A man doesn't need the intensity. He just needs the regular sex. But women need that, romance me, tell me I'm beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And men don't feel like doing that every time. So
I
you get a new man.
don't have a problem with that. I mean,
Hold on, Attorney Greg said no. Yeah. No, we don't need that. Right.
No, we don't. No,
Elam,
Yeah,
Elam,
huh?
come on, baby.
I mean,
You've been married 14 years.
Yeah.
Let's not
I'm about to
spread
say, let's
this.
be
But,
honest.
well,
to
here's
your
my
face.
thing. The one
Let's
thing.
be
well,
honest
here-
to your face,
here-
Elam.
no. Listen. The one thing that my wife says is that something along the lines of not having somebody else compliment her more than me. So that's
Right.
always stuck in my mind.
Okay.
So I will randomly just, I remember when my son was younger in daycare, he smacked the daycare lady on her booty, right? and the daycare lady said, "I know where he probably got that
Yeah,
from." And she
right.
and then my wife was all embarrassed, like, "Yeah, because I do that at home. Just walk past, It's something little,
Right.
something
So,
little
you're
like that."
saying that you're saying that you guys have the same rate and kind of sex that you had when you first got married to now?
She
you have
will
the
say
exact
yes.
same rate.
She will say absolutely
Oh
yes. So
my
it's
God.
not
I
just
need to
me
talk
saying
to her.
it.
I need a witness.
No, hold on. I don't know about you talking to her.
We need a
I don't know.
Yeah, we need
Hold on.
we need Michelle to call in real quick.
No, Michelle's in the
Yeah,
classroom
can she
right
call
now.
in?
So glad she can't
Can she
see
call
this.
in? She needs to call in.
I'm about to say we need
And
a
this
one-on-one
concludes
talk
today's
to her.
show. Thank you so much, Kenya, for coming on.
He was like, no.
I
What
put a
you
lot
not
of work
gonna,
in.
what
you
you
know?
not gonna do,
No,
Kenya?
we need a witness. We need a witness.
But I get where you are coming from. I mean, after 14 years, I don't care. After 5 years, people love to say, "Nah, the sex is still the same from day
Right.
one." I kind of keep
Right,
it real,
not.
people.
Yeah.
Elam, it's a chemical. It's a chemical in the brain. It's a bonding chemical, and it goes down every time you have sex with the same person. So it's going to happen with anybody. It's not personal against you. It's just science. It's science. So and then a woman, when she's ovulating, she's looking for a different kind of man than when she's not. So
What's she looking
this
for?
happens every month.
What's the ovulation? Hold on, talk about that. So
What's
when
she
a
looking
woman
for
is,
when she
she wants
ovulating?
more creativity during her ovulation stage. Is that what you're saying?
No. When a woman is ovulating, she's looking for a man who is the prime partner to have a baby with.
That's true.
And that leads to womb choice. You always want to have the bad boy's baby. Why? Because his stamina is higher. His energy is higher.
Wow.
Your husband, you want to be with him when you're about to come on your cycle. You need to cuddle. You need comfort.
Really?
You understand? It's a difference.
So you, well, you know what?
Well, he can hand you the Midol.
Right. He can go get you some ice cream. He can go get you some pizza.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that
I
up
love
about
that,
the
Juju.
ovulation, because I talked about this over the weekend with women about a lot of women don't even know what's the purpose of an orgasm, right? It has a biological purpose. It's not just to feel good.
You hear oh.
Yeah, it's actually so during your ovulation stage, obviously you can get pregnant during that time, right? But here,
Right.
so when you have an orgasm, the reason, because I know a lot of people don't know this, what happens during an orgasm,
Teach us.
because you have two ovaries, right? So an egg pops out from each one each month. Well, your body knows which one, whether it's the left or whether it's the left or right, right? So when you have an orgasm, it squeezes the sperm in the direction of the tube where that egg came out of. I learned this on Discovery Channel.
Thank
okay?
you, Discovery
So because a lot of
Channel.
women don't know, everybody knows why a man reaches climax, but they don't know why a woman does. So because of that, and I want to throw this to you, Kenya, because of that, women become more attached to the man that can give them an orgasm, because biologically, this person has a higher probability of giving you a baby. So
Right.
because
That's
of that,
very true.
so because of that, it's actually dangerous to have sex with multiple men that give you an orgasm, because your mind is kind of like, I want this one, I want this, I want this one, because
that's when
biologically
you get caught up with.
And that's
I
when
don't
you
know
get
who
caught
the
up.
baby daddy is.
Yeah, so talk about that, because if you might see it as something different, but that's why it's said why women shouldn't be having, because if 5 people are giving you an orgasm, your body is saying,
Well,
I
let's just
want
say
all 5.
we're using protection.
No,
and we're making sure that we're
that's only considered dangerous in a culture that says the tax code means 2 people are paying taxes. If the tax code and the money and they're trying to keep everybody separated. They're trying to keep everybody isolated. And so yes, that's dangerous in that kind of culture. It's not dangerous in community, because all men should care for all women. All women should care for all men, and all adults should care for all children. That is the same culture. And in that kind of culture, it's not dangerous for me to love multiple men. It's only dangerous if that's going to mess up the taxes, if that's going to mess up the idea that, each household pay this amount. Now, who's going to pay what if I'm married to 5 men? Oh, that's a problem for the government. That's a problem, yes. But I'm not the government, and I'm not this system, and I'm not capitalism. So I don't hold it up.
Okay.
That's good.
What's wrong with me loving 5 men? That means if my husband dies, I have 5 men to protect me. If one of those guys died, I have 4. You understand?
Shout out to the big brothers.
You walk into the club and all 5 packing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you got a security system.
And look.
She got a starting 5.
Harassment. If all men love all women, would we have sexual harassment? All those men would jump on any guy who's acting out against any woman.
Right.
We can have sexual harassment because, one man, one woman. So I have one protector on the planet? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I want multiple protectors. I want all the protection I can have. And we need to look at it that way.
Look at your face. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That sounds great. I'm sitting here like, Elam, we gotta have a part two.
I, I, I still feel the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's kind of closed-minded or whatever. I'm really more conservative, but I just couldn't see my wife being with,
Well, let me just ask you real quick. We're about to wrap up, and definitely, Kenya, I would love to have a part two to this. Because
y'all got me heated. Y'all got me heated.
I'm like, Kenya, I'm gonna call you in the car. We gonna do a car conversation. I mean, I think that this is amazing. Somebody on YouTube says, shout out to the big brothers.
I mean, I'm trying to tell you. I think the great thing about it is that, to hear it come from a woman, because I'm going to be very honest with you. If a man spoke like this, he would get rained upon as just, you a garden tool, or you just, you just trying to have your cake and eat it too, or whatever.
You a hoe,
but to have a woman, you a hoe, right? But to have a woman say it, I think that it adds a level of empowerment, and it I know there's a lot of ladies out there that is just saying good for you. And what was interesting, when I first went to your Instagram and I saw how many women were like, good for you, hey, I'm trying to get there, or just the shout outs that were there, I was like, wow. I expected to see more men saying, but just the liberated women that were speaking towards it, I found that interesting.
Yeah, it's really great. I have mostly women. It's mostly women in my programs. Men come along, but it's hard because men have a hard time because you all have been raised in this culture that says you own women. You need to own one woman. She's your possession, and she makes you a man. And that's just not going to work anymore.
I don't think we're taught that we own you. I don't think if I want to be with multiple women, I don't feel like that I own them. I just wanted to have multiple women. I mean, and I felt the way you feel, like, whereas, more than one, this person's for this side of the team, this person cooks real good, right? And then we end up having sex, right? This person is a lot of fun, and we end up having sex. This person is just the freak of the week.
Yeah, because you had your choices.
And so, she's just swinging from the rafters in the bedroom, So I didn't feel like I owned them. I just liked each one of them for something different, and we ended up having sex. So I don't.
Right, but if you don't want your wife to be with other men, that means you're basing your manhood on the fact that she doesn't want other men. She only wants you.
No, it's ego.
That means
it's ego. I would say you can call it ego.
But that's all I'm saying, Elam. I'm saying that men have been raised to boost their ego.
Come on, Elam.
Elam. I've always been. It's okay. I'm so used to
we
it.
just messing with her.
You good. You
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But,
you've been raised to think that she's yours. That's why you don't want her with anybody else.
That's true. She is mine. Absolutely.
Which is the reason why
when I pay that mortgage,
you would feel some kind of a way, if you're in a room with her and she's been with someone else. Meanwhile, the question that we want to ask is, would it be wrong for Michelle to feel some kind of a way if she was in a room with you and another woman that you slept with?
That's happened,
right?
But she's way more accepting. She knows. I mean, we met at a call center, so she knows that in that call center it went way down, right?
Yeah,
so she's been in the room. So it's like 85% women, and you're in a position of leadership. Women just throw it at you,
leadership.
So
I was gonna say, well, look. Kenya, we're definitely gonna have to figure out a part two to this. I definitely am excited and thankful for the liberation that you have chosen with your husband and with your with the men that you have chosen to be your choices in your life. I'm excited because I love the fact that this is out there now. Not saying that it's wrong or right for anybody. Obviously, I'm a fan of what works for you, what works for me, works for me. But I definitely feel like it's a good thing because not everybody can be everything for everybody. I mean, again, I'm single. I'm figuring it out. But, I definitely love the mentality of knowing that, it's there is no ownership. I mean, if I'm with you, it's because I choose to be with you, not because you're forcing me to be with you.
And really, I think the difficulty is that religion comes into play. It is. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I am a Christian, but I can see where you're coming from, and it makes me say, I got to take this back to my bishop and see what.
We gonna add another chapter to the ebook.
your bishop is almost certainly having sex with a few women in the church, so you should be able to talk to him
No,
about
no,
it.
no,
Shout out to the shout out to the bishop.
no, no.
Kenya.
A few married, and a few single. Trust me.
Shout out
I'm not
to
gonna touch that.
shout out to we gonna leave on we gonna let that go. Kenya,
Hey, Joy, tell your listeners to come on over to jujumama.com.
There we go.
Jujumama.com.
jujumama.com. All right. And we will talk to you later. Shout out to Elam B. King, author of Understanding a Man. You can find Miss Kenya K. Stevens at jujumama.com. She's also on Instagram at jujumama as well. You guys have an amazing day. Shout out to Hey Brenna. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Kenya.
It's Michael.